Hey, it's Wednesday. Welcome to Offensive. It's playoff season. Everybody's in the playoffs, but let's talk about something that is happening on Black Monday. A lot of guys got fired, and this is the first season I can remember where the coach of the Bears is still there and everybody's happy about it. So congratulations, Bears, not looking to fire your coach. But today we're going to go through all the NFL teams that have fired their coach so far, and we have a list of potential candidates, and we're going to rank where we think that those candidates are most likely to go. So are you guys excited for the playoffs coming up?
Yeah, and there's going to be more coaching firings too after
I think so.
Playoff games.
I think so. I think there's going to be more.
Get canned after Saturday night, my friend. I'm telling you.
I mean,
they're going to walk out hand in hand out of the playoffs and into the blue yonder.
I mean, that's assuming the Bears win, which is extremely unlikely considering, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's get into it because I'm kind of pumped. So big news, John Harbaugh just got fired. The Ravens fans, they were calling for it. The Ravens fans in our league, Dugan that we know, has been saying he wants Harbaugh gone for a while. Literally within 40 minutes of Harbaugh getting fired, he gets 7 phone calls from 7 teams looking for a coach, one of which still has a coach, which Dave, of course, thinks is the Green Bay Packers, but we're not hiring Harbaugh. We're definitely not hiring Harbaugh.
You lost 4 straight. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, but you know what the thing about Harbaugh is, why the Ravens fans wanted him to go? Because he screws up close games. What's my problem with LaFleur, Dave? The same thing. Why would I want an older version of that? So, no, I don't think he has
an
any
older version of LaFleur.
But the problem with the Ravens screwing up close games is the execution of the players. The right plays are getting called. It's just the players screw up. In Green Bay, it's the head coach screws up the play calling, and he doesn't give him a chance to win the game.
Yeah, but Harbaugh's a defensive guy. He's not an offensive coordinator.
I think it's a combination of both in Green Bay. I think a part of it's LaFleur, and a lot of it's our guys just make dumb mistakes all the time. And it's been going on for years, too. It's in the whole LaFleur period. But, all right, well, let's start with Harbaugh. So everyone thinks he's going to the Giants. Everyone says the Giants are going hard for him. Now, do you guys think that's the best landing spot, the most likely landing spot for him? Because I want to throw out Atlanta. Like, if you think about it, Atlanta just put a bunch of draft capital in their defense. Yeah. They've got an excellent running game, a good offensive line. That feels like a Harbaugh team, doesn't it? Doesn't that feel like a team that he would coach? Do you think he would consider Atlanta, or do you think the Giants are just like guaranteed basically at this point?
Well, this is the thing is that like Atlanta, player-wise, roster-wise, it could be really good for him. But I think, what if he wants to go in the same division as his brother and go to the Raiders? That team,
I mean, he's got
the
first
kind of
overall
terrible,
pick.
But like, imagine they go against each other twice a year. That would be kind of awesome.
It would be. The Raiders would have to throw him the bag, and they don't have the money for it because they're still paying 4 other coaches now. They're paying Carroll. Yeah, they're paying Carroll. They're paying Gruden. I think they're still paying freaking McDaniel. So like they don't have the money to give Harbaugh because Harbaugh is going to get a big contract. And I don't think the Raiders can afford him. And we'll get into this later, but I have some ideas for the Raiders. So I don't think it's likely. It would be cool, but
there's going to be a lot of competition to get Harbaugh, so he might demand a lot of money.
All right. So, but there's also talk that the Giants are going hard for Stefanski.
Because Atlanta, they have a wide receiver, potentially tight end if they hold on him. I think they should just let him walk. Bijan's amazing, a decent offensive line, but they don't have a first-round pick. They don't really have, he need to find an offensive coordinator in there who can develop Penix, and he still has question marks. So I don't think that really is a good fit for him. For New York makes a lot of sense just because you see they have pieces for an offense, so he doesn't need to have a top-tier brilliant mind to make everything work. He can find a solid offensive mind that can take care of that, and he has some pieces on that defensive line. He has draft picks, so he can build up that defense in his image. He's playing in whether it's Atlanta or New York, they're playing in a relatively weak ass division.
Yeah, they are
the Eagles, but I think that the Giants are the most desirable coaching position out there. That's not Baltimore. Out of all of the teams,
and just like prestige-wise, the Giants are a prestigious organization.
I will say
I'd say stable ownership. I'm not a fan of their GM necessarily, but I'd say stable ownership.
Yeah, I think the Giants is a good landing spot for him. I think they are a defensive identity team that's been built into them for decades now. He fits that identity. I think he'll work. So, I'm comfortable putting him in New York. I just want to throw some options out there. So that leaves Stefanski now. If so, Harbaugh gets that job, Stefanski's open. Do you guys think Atlanta goes hard for Stefanski, or Baltimore maybe, or even maybe let's say the Titans throw the absolute bag at him to try to get him down there to work with Cam Ward, right? Do you guys think Tennessee goes hard for Stefanski? Because I feel like that would be a really good fit for them. What do you guys think about that?
Well, like he's only really had a lot of success with Baker Mayfield, who is kind of like a guy you don't really have to have a good coach for. So I'm just not sold on Stefanski, and I think he's going to go to a team like the Titans or maybe the Browns or Falcons. One of these teams that like thinks that he's a genius, but he's really not.
Well, let me give you some weird Baker Mayfield information.
He didn't have Baker, really.
He did. No, he had Baker.
Well, let me give you some.
Let me give you some odd Baker Mayfield information. Baker Mayfield's winning percentage with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is slightly better than it was with the Cleveland Browns. It's almost identical. So even with this Tampa Bay franchise that had, the post Brady, all these great players, and we all love Baker here, but he won almost as many games in Cleveland as he has so far in Tampa Bay over the same course of time, right? So I don't know that Baker makes that much of a difference. Stefanski, I think, has failed miserably on the offensive side because he is an offensive coordinator with this Browns team, which is why they ultimately let him go.
Well, they were really good mostly because their defense was really good, that playoff run they had, and then Baker was able to run that offense. But without Baker, their team is just trash.
And I think he's more of a run game kind of offensive guy. I don't think he's a quarterback guy. So maybe Tennessee isn't the place for him. Oakland, I don't think is the place for him. Does Baltimore give him a look? Because he's already got a quarterback. He's got a running game, but he's not a defensive guy. I don't think he really fits with the Baltimore MO. I think they've got to go defensive guy again. So I'm going to throw this out here. I think the Arizona Cardinals are a likely landing spot for Stefanski. What do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I think
I like Stefanski. I like his run first persona. He was able to help resurrect Joe Flacco when they went 11-6 in 2023. He had Mayfield's third year. They went 11-5. They lost in the divisional round. They went 8-9 with Baker the next year, but he leans on the run game a lot. And Arizona, their running back, he's older. He got hurt this last year, Connor. Their second-year player out of Florida State missed all of the season to everyone in fantasies, chagrin. But I think with a strong running game, I think he'd want to go all the way up to the top.
I think Atlanta fits too. Yeah, I think Atlanta should go for him. He's the seasoned coach, NFL Coach of the Year 2 times. He kind of leaned on that defense, like you said, but he is, I think, better at the run game than he is the pass game. Now developing quarterbacks, we don't know if he can. But he didn't really have much to work with outside of Baker in Cleveland, and Cleveland is Cleveland. So I'm not going to hold that too much against him.
Could you imagine being a head coach who has to put up with Hasselman in Cleveland, and all of a sudden you get the chance to go to Arthur Smith? Arthur is loyal, and Arthur is totally a fantastic owner who you'd love to work with.
Yeah. I think Stefanski might end up in Atlanta. I could definitely see that. So, okay, let's put him in Atlanta. Now let's go to Dave's favorite coach, Mike McCarthy. Now he's getting interviews. And remember, Dave, we even said in the offseason that earlier in the season that McCarthy might actually work in Tennessee just to kind of get them off the ground floor because they're so bad right now. It's ridiculous. We know he can develop quarterbacks. He can work with Cam Ward. Do we think the Titans give him a serious look? Or do we think he's toast as far as NFL coaching
just
goes?
For the fact of developing Cam Ward, you might want to bring him in to do that. Right.
So do we all agree Tennessee would be a decent spot for Mike McCarthy?
Oh yeah, he'd have $100 million worth to work within the cap. Yep. And he can bring on. He won't be able to bring in great D coordinators around him or whatnot, but and he's a good guy. He's a good drinking buddy. So there's good D coordinators out there that would have no problem working with him and his personality. I think. Yep. Yeah, he's one of those good. Yeah, he's a good transition piece.
All right.
Now he won Baltimore. The very first thing when they fired Harbaugh right away, I wanted them to get Mike Flores out of Caleb's NFC North and scoot his derriere over to Baltimore because he's a hard nosed. I don't take no BS from anyone. He can resurrect the defense, with the Ravens. I know that they had a lot of injuries throughout the year, but he's been able to do it with the geriatric Harrison Barnes, and all of a sudden you give him the best young safety tandems in Baltimore. I think he can make that defense back to what it is, elevate Roquan Smith back to what he was 3-4 years ago with Chicago. And I think that he's the kind of guy who can just say, okay, Lamar, I got this. Don't worry. I think he can. I think he can set the tone. I think he can be a disciplinarian. He can be a father, but I also think he can be a good coach. I think
he's got a better landing spot. I think Flores to Oakland makes more sense. And let me tell you why. Because he was a head coach for a little while with Miami. It did not go well. He's not going to get top dollar, right? Because he's not Harbaugh. He's not Stefanski. Oakland needs to sign somebody younger that they can stick with for a couple years that is going to change the culture of the franchise. And I think they can get him for a decent salary, right? And they could potentially bring him in and give him a couple years. He's going to have the first overall pick. He can fix the defense, and he can get a very good offensive coordinator to work with that number 1 overall pick quarterback that they're going to take, right? So he's going to be whoever they hire as a head coach. I feel like the Raiders should go defense. That's just my personal opinion. And they should bring in an offensive coordinator, like maybe one of these guys that we talk about later that doesn't get a job, that's going to want to work with that number 1 overall pick and eventually get their head coaching job based on that. So, and the reason I do that, Dave, is because for all the things that you said about Flores, Mr. Robert Salah fits even better in Baltimore because Robert Salah has proven he's a better defensive coordinator. Well, okay, that's a bit of a stretch.
He got starstruck by Rodgers. He's going to get starstruck by Lamar Jackson.
No. First of all, Robert Salah won a ton of games without a quarterback. Now he has a quarterback. And yes, Rodgers came in and it didn't go according to plan. But look what happened to the Jets after they got rid of Robert Salah. They've won like 3 games in a year and a half.
Their defense turned to trash.
Yeah, it completely fell apart. Now, Robert Salah is a big personality. He's a big name. And yes, I understand Flores is kind of a badass, but Robert Salah has a lot more, I would say, NFL pedigree because of his longer term of success and because he was longer term head coach, to where I think Lamar might respect him. And he's a gassed up, get going, get in your face kind of guy that is a defensive guy that like fits Baltimore's kind of personality as well. I think Baltimore should go hard for Robert Salah. That's just me personally. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think Salah fits in Baltimore, or do you think he would be better suited for Oakland or say even Tennessee or something like that?
I don't think he'd want to go to the Raiders. That's the only thing.
I don't think so either. I think he's too smart to go to the Raiders for sure.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really wants to go to Oakland.
And honestly, dude, like Flores, because of the whole thing that went down in Miami with the bad ownership, I mean, maybe the Raiders isn't the place for him, but maybe he also has to like resurrect himself a little bit from that. Like, I wouldn't say it's his black eye, but like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, teams might be a little tentative to give him the head coaching job because it sounded like he was a total prick while he was down there.
Yeah, he's a total prick for sure.
Right. And so he's even come out and said that working in Minnesota, he's actually learned how to be different and treat people differently and like be a better man and a better coach. So like, I think he's not going to get. Baltimore is a big job, dude. Baltimore, whoever they hire, they are expected to be a playoff Super Bowl contender next year. I don't think Robert Flores has enough pedigree to fit that role. I think they would go Stefanski or Salah way before they went Flores. That's just my personal opinion. So I'm going to
Flores could also go to the Cardinals too, because the Cardinals is not a job many people probably want.
That's something too. I feel like Flores is going to go to a bad franchise just to help resurrect himself, but I think he's going to do a good job. I actually really do think he's going to do a good job, at least on defense, right? So yeah, his defenses are fantastic. So all right, let's put him in Arizona for now because I got other ideas for Arizona. I also think Spagano is a potential Arizona candidate. Now, he was a head coach before. He's got his great defense in Kansas City.
He has a lot of red shirts already.
Yeah, some people are saying he might even be waiting Andy Reid out to see if Andy Reid retires in the next 2 years and then just take over the Chiefs job, right? So he might not go anywhere. I think he's going to get interviews, but I don't know. I almost feel like he's unlikely because I think he wants to stay in Kansas City to see if he gets that job. What do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I agree. And that's a trend, right? A lot of the assistants in Kansas City stick around too long waiting for some opportunity in Kansas City when they should have left already. So that's definitely a trend.
It
Well,
is
Reed's
possible.
also going to get the record within 3 years. So
Yeah, I would say, yeah, Andy Reid probably wants the record. So, but Spagano's no spring chicken either.
no,
So
Yeah,
he might want to take his chance. Who knows? But I'm going to put him unlikely just for now. Now
Yep.
let's talk about Doug's favorite defensive coordinator, Vance Joseph in Denver. Now he seems like an Oakland Raider candidate or a Baltimore candidate as well. Do you guys think Oakland gives him a look? I mean, it's in division. The Broncos won the division, so if you get their defensive coordinator, that's like a double win for you, right? So, and again, I don't think he'll be too expensive compared to some of these other guys.
No, he won't. I mean, because he was already a head coach once and it didn't go well,
And
so
it did
he's
not go
gonna be
well.
expensive.
But he's going to have to, again, get a good OC to develop a quarterback. So I guess my question for you guys is, does Oakland go offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, considering they're going to get the number one pick and it's definitely going to be a quarterback? Right?
Yeah, you got to go offensive guy with that situation, I think.
Yeah. So, and do we think Vance Joseph has enough juice to be the Ravens coach? I don't think so.
No.
I think sneaky. I think
Yeah.
Tennessee Titans is a sneaky shout for Vance Joseph. I think
I
they
like
should
that.
give him a good hard look. He's definitely a good defensive coordinator. He's going to have a bit of a runway because they're so bad. Do you know what I mean? So it just is, again, with Tennessee.
he has at least 22 games, just like Callahan.
Yeah,
So,
I
and
would say so.
You know what's crazy
It's
is
about it.
apparently the rumors are that the Denver Broncos have been telling all the teams like Vance Joseph's great. He's great to work with. And I'm like, why are you trying to get rid of your D coordinator who's good? Like, you know what I mean? But they're
Well, it's because everyone else on their squad has worked for your head coach for the last 20 years. And they know that he's not going to get promoted up anymore. That's how the Bears wound up with our offensive coordinator. It's because he was your tight ends coach, because everyone else has worked with Peyton for the last 20 years. Peyton has his guys. They develop everyone else around them and whatnot. And then they say, all right, hey, everyone. And they're fantastic about, propping each other up and giving each other opportunities. So it's not that they don't dislike him. They think he's a great guy and they want to see him succeed.
I just think that's going to probably help him get a head coaching job if the team's telling everyone like really good things about him and saying he's great to work with.
No, I think Tennessee's a shout for him. I think Tennessee should go pretty hard for him. I think he would fit well there. I think Arizona wouldn't be bad either, but I think Tennessee would be a good spot.
He's a D coordinator for Arizona for a season or two.
And he was a D coordinator for Arizona for a little while, but I think he might not want to go back there. I
probably.
All right, now let's get to some other coordinators. So we've got Shula here from the Rams, who I feel like, again, Oakland needs to go young guys. I'm actually going to throw Matt LaFleur's little brother, Mike, in there too as potential Oakland Raider candidates. They'll be cheap. They'll get a runway. They'll have a young quarterback to work with. I feel the Raiders need to understand that they're so bad from top to bottom that they're going to stink for 2 or 3 years. And I feel like hiring a young coach and giving him 2 years at least to see what he can do with that quarterback would be a smart move. So I'd actually maybe even put Mikey ahead of Shula here. I really wanted Shula to go to Cincinnati, but they haven't fired their coach yet because they're dumb.
Could be an option for another position like Atlanta or something too, because he's the grandson of Don Shula. You know what I mean? Right. So there is all this pedigree there.
No, that's a good shout. I could see. I mean, he's a defensive guy though.
Yeah,
you got to remember. So like, I don't think he's got the juice here. I don't think he'd want the Arizona job. Maybe Tennessee. I could see him going Oakland, maybe New York if it doesn't work out. Sneaky to Cleveland, maybe, but I'm not really feeling that. I feel like Oakland needs to look at them and Jesse Minter as well from the San Diego Chargers, the defensive coordinator from the Chargers. Again, steal a guy from your own division. That's a double win for you. He did an excellent job with a very undermanned Chargers defense this year. He obviously came from the Harbaugh system in Baltimore. He was also at Michigan for a while.
Yeah, there's rumors of him being a big target for the Ravens.
Yeah, I could maybe see that, but I don't know if the Ravens are going to go unproven guy just because they want to win a Super Bowl. They've got old guys on their team. They've got expectations to win it. So I feel like Oakland is more likely, but I hear what you're saying. Like he could potentially go back
because he has ties back to the Ravens. And
he does. So I will say that's definitely, let's leave him in Baltimore for now, just as a possibility. And let's get on to everyone's favorite Halfley. Cleveland Browns. Like if he gets a job, it's gonna be the Cleveland Browns.
He goes from Micah to the even better pass rusher.
Maybe the Titans. Like I could see Titans, maybe Cardinals, Cleveland Browns. I'm gonna say Cleveland Browns is the most likely spot for Halfley if he takes a head coaching job. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, Dave, what do you think? I don't know, man. I just don't know where he would match up well.
Yeah, it's it's a tough thing because Cleveland is just it's a giant.
You're
It's a brown
inheriting
hole
Shador
that nobody really
Sanders
wants
and
to
all
go
that
to.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's tough to find out. You're not gonna have a quarterback for another 2 years because they have
Right.
he who not shall not be named is going to be coming back next year to battle against Shador Sanders.
Yeah.
He's still going to be $120 million against the cap for the next 2 years.
Dude,
So there's no way around it. So this is not desirable. So
Messy
if I was
situation.
Halfley, I would just say, no, I'm just going to stick it out in Green Bay. Thank you for
yeah.
kicking the tires. If I'm Halfley, if I don't get the Ravens job or the Giants job, I'm cool staying where I'm at for another cycle or two. Ben Johnson showed how important or how beneficial it can be to just sit and wait to get the right job, right? Because Ben Johnson, he had the option for the last 2 years, at least possibly 3, to get head coaching jobs, and he's like, no, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to continue to learn. Halfley came from Boston College. He came from college, and this was his second year.
Yes.
Right, in the NFL. So why not just sit, learn a little bit more off of LaFleur? Just stay where you are. For him, if I was him, I'd just stay. As much as that sucks as a Bears fan, he's a smart guy. He's schemed stuff up really well. I'd love to see him leave. But if I was him, I'd just stay where I'm at for another year.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The Titans job might not be terrible. I don't think it's a great job. I don't think the Cardinals job's a good job because the quarterback situation in Cleveland is a terrible destination. So we'll put unlikely, but I don't know. I
You
feel
guys
like the
forget
Titans
about
could
the
do his
rumors
job.
of him going to the Giants. You could have put him in the Giants slot.
All right, we could put him in there just in case maybe Harbaugh
like I
goes
said,
somewhere else.
Yeah, if he can get the Giants. But yeah, when Harbaugh got canned, that was the worst thing for Halfley.
Yeah.
Because Halfley was one of the first 3 interviews, right? Him and McCarthy and somebody else.
Yeah, it was. All right, so we'll leave him in the Ravens. All right, now let's go to Joe Barry, offense coordinator for the Bills. If you guys have learned anything, do not hire offensive coordinators from the Bills. I don't think this is going to happen. I think he's going to get some looks. He has a very good run game. They have a very good run offense, but they also have maybe the best offensive line in the NFL. So I don't think they're doing anything too crazy. Plus, they have Josh Allen running the ball. So, I don't know. Just hiring Bills offensive coordinators just is a bad idea, guys. I'm just telling you. So I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to say the same thing with Kafka, A, F Northwestern. But B, I think he's a good offensive coordinator. I don't think he's ready to be a head coach yet. I think he might get a look or two just because he was the interim for the Giants, but I don't think that's very likely. Same with Lou Honorio. I forget how to say his name, but the defensive coordinator for the Colts. He did a really good job this year, I think, with their defense, but they kind of fell apart at the end of the year. I think some of the smoke around him has kind of fallen away. So I'm going to put that unlikely to happen. Now, let's get to the Kubiak brothers, who I think have a real shot. Now, one of these guys could go to Cleveland. So Clint in Seattle has done an amazing job, but I don't know if he'll go to a place that doesn't have a quarterback or a quarterback he can draft. I think the Oakland Raiders would be a very likely destination for him. He's worked, that passing game in Seattle has done very well. The offensive line is even so much better.
The running game's pretty good.
In the running game,
their offensive line was a huge detriment last year. You felt like they only had one real starter before the draft, and all of a sudden, they're number 1 seed in the league. So he'd make a lot of sense to help to try to revive what the Raiders' offense is.
Yep,
because they're the same thing where they have one good lineman and that's it.
Yep. But his brother, I feel like Arizona, again, in division, they've seen what he can do a lot. He's an offensive guy. He might get a little bit of runway with the Kyler situation, and they're Kubiak. So their dad was obviously a head coach and, they know what to do in the NFL. They're professionals. I think Arizona needs that again. Again, I don't think Jonathan Gannon did a bad job. It just sucks that he's a D guy and their defense was so terrible.
Yeah.
I think maybe they try an offensive coordinator again. Cause dude, if you look at Arizona's last 9 coaches, they go defense pretty consistently. I think it might be time to switch it up.
You got to get a young, brilliant offensive mind in there.
I think they need to get a young offensive guy, give him a year to suck, pick a quarterback next year, or whatever, or sign Malik, guys, and throw him out there. Now, this is the Dolphins defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver, who he does come from the Baltimore system. He got interviewed there. I don't know if he's going to get interviews everywhere else, but he could be a candidate for Baltimore. So I don't know how many other teams are interviewing him, but I'm going to throw him in there in Baltimore. He's got the Baltimore pedigree. as everybody likes to say. And I thought he did an okay job in Miami this year. Oh, can I just say that my boy Mikey Flavors still has a job today, and I'm very happy about it. I don't know if it's going to last, but I'm very happy.
But so does Todd
Mikey
Bowles,
Flavors,
so who cares?
Yeah, true. Well, and that might not last. All right, now let's get to some more outside thinking. So let's go to college coaches, okay? Now, we've got Sanagi, sorry, I forget how to say his name, from Indiana, who's been killing it this year, could win the national championship. Some people are saying Oakland should go get him, but again, if he goes to the NFL, he's going to want a bunch of money. He's unproven in the NFL. I think it's a terrible idea for the Raiders to pay another coach that they might have to fire in 2 years a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
But Cam Ward's also in Tennessee, and that might be a better situation for him. He might get paid a little more. He's got a young quarterback he can work with. I could potentially see him
worth of cap.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he gets control GM stuff too. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there as a shout. I think he's going to get a look. I don't necessarily think it's likely, but I think Tennessee takes a look at him, maybe Oakland as well. And then Lanning from Oregon, again, another Oregon coach. They haven't done well in the NFL. I think he's going to get some looks, but I'm pretty sure that's unlikely. And Freeman just signed a contract that basically pays him through 2030, and they're giving him a ton of money, so he's not going anywhere. Notre Dame just paid him to stay. So this is where we're at. So, okay, so we assume Cleveland's not going to hire anyone.
Somebody has to go to the Brown spot. Who goes
really,
to the Brown spot?
Yeah, come on. Who's going to go? Who are we moving to the Brown spot? Do we really think any of these? I mean, I feel like Hafley's the most likely.
Yeah.
I do. I feel like Jeff Hafley's
that would be the worst situation
likely
for everybody. It would screw the Packers, screw the Browns.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Joe Barry. I'd give a shout again because that'd be a terrible decision. No offense, Joe Barry. I'm sure you're a great guy, but I mean, I don't think Kafka has a chance. I don't know. I could maybe see
Vance Joseph.
Yeah,
I could maybe see Vance Joseph taking the Cleveland job. They got a great defense, right?
Like I said, I'd put Hafley back up to the Giants, and just leave those two down in Cleveland.
Okay, I don't know if Joe Barry is even a possibility. I don't know. I would say,
but again, I don't think Cleveland really has too much of a choice because the best thing that they have going is a decent run game that could be better, and an offensive line that needs to get built up.
Yeah.
So maybe they can get their quarterback in 2-3 years. So maybe Joe Barry might be good enough for setting the table, and then they can hire a real coach in 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know what Cleveland's going to do. Nobody should want that job. Like, nobody should want that job. Like, at least for a year or two. Like, and then once Deshaun's contract's off the books, then you can like try to fix the team, right? Or maybe even next year if they do get like a top 2 pick and they do get like a guaranteed quarterback, maybe. But yeah, this is a tough job. So Flores
they interviewed Todd Monken, the Ravens offensive coordinator, which I don't know how that makes sense, but he's got ties to them.
He does. And I think Todd Monken's a very good offensive coordinator. I think he's I think people have simmered on him too, just because of the Ravens season kind of fell apart. But he's got historically, if you look at him over the last few years, his open wide receiver percentage, which is basically ball based on scheme, has been one of the best in the NFL. The Ravens had the number 1 offense last year, and they were like number 3 the year before that. And yes, everybody's hurt this year, but I mean, Lamar absolutely is a part of that. But I don't know if this is the same thing as the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I think it's a little different because he's actually scheming guys open a lot. But I think teams have cooled on him quite a bit, especially since Harbaugh got fired too. So, but yeah, I don't know, dude. Cleveland is really hard to figure out. Whoever goes to Cleveland, man, good luck. Like, seriously, good luck. And honestly, do we think Stefanski's a shoe-in Atlanta? I mean, is there anyone else? I think maybe Jesse Minter's a shout in Atlanta too. I think that's a possibility. Could have a shot. Dude, I think Kubiak would be a great hire in Atlanta. I think he would be a fantastic hire in Atlanta. And yes, we don't know what Penix is, but he's just a professional. I feel like Atlanta is going to look for someone that can win next year, though. So they should go after Stefanski. So maybe younger guys aren't there. Do we think Robert Salah has a chance in Atlanta?
He could go anywhere. He could even go to the Giants. I mean, who knows? Like, because he has such a positive background. Even the Jets situation makes him look good now.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I'm still putting him in Baltimore. I think Baltimore should go for Salah hard. I really do. Harbaugh to New York, one of the Rams guys to the Raiders, or maybe Kubiak, one of the Kubiak guys. Dude, I think Brian Flores to the Cardinals makes a lot of sense. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that would work. I really don't think McCarthy's getting a job.
No.
But, you know, we can throw him in there. And I think the Titans might also look at LaFleur as well. LaFleur's little brother, Matt, was obviously down there before, maybe one of the Kubiaks, but I don't know. Yeah,
I
this is
think all
tough.
those young offensive minds are going to get a lot more attention than a lot of the defensive guys are. You know what I mean? Because in today's days and age, the formula is get a head coach as a good offensive mind and then get a good defensive coordinator. I think is like the best situation.
Yeah, I could see it.
Because you got to develop quarterbacks. You got to like draft good quarterbacks.
I'm throwing Mike Kafka to Cleveland. He's probably too smart to go there, but like, hey, it's a shout, right? Maybe they offer him some money and he's like, why not? Right. So I still think Halfley to Cleveland is likely, dude. I'm just saying Halfley to Cleveland is likely. Do you think Harbaugh? Okay. And we agree Harbaugh is not the number one target for the Falcons. You think they should be going after Stefanski instead of Harbaugh, or should they go for Harbaugh? What do you guys think?
Everyone should go after Harbaugh first.
I kind of agree. Honestly, Stefanski second, Salah third. Honestly, I'd take Salah over Stefanski, though. Just my personal opinion. I would just take Salah over Stefanski. That's my personal opinion.
If you're a defensive built team,
if you're a defensive, if you're a defensive culture, like definitely go. I would, dude. I might even do that. I'm not even lying. I might even say Salah would be better in New York. I was telling you earlier in the year, Dave, they should go hire him.
You're calling for it.
So, you know, there's something like that could happen, right? Maybe Harbaugh goes here, Salah goes there. I don't know, but it sounds like Harbaugh's likely there. I'm going to throw Salah in Baltimore, Stefanski in Atlanta. We've got Shula in Oakland or Kubiak. You know, Oakland's going to hire, you know, one of the kids whose dad was in the NFL. I think the Titans are kind of in that same boat. Hopefully Anthony Flores gets a job this year. I think he should get a job. I think there's no doubt that Anthony Flores should get a head coaching job this year.
After what he did to Green Bay this past Sunday.
Just to everybody. His defense was fantastic. Dude, Minnesota's offense is pathetic. It's so pathetic. It's pathetic. And they finished with a winning record. So like that tells you it was all defense. It was all defense. And Vance Joseph, I don't know if he definitely deserves a job because Denver is just loaded with dudes. But again, he's doing the right things. I think he's going to get some looks, and I think Cleveland is maybe a decent shout. So you guys pretty happy with this list?
I mean, yeah, it could go so many different ways, but that's like a fun way to look at it. But I think that, you know, I think Flores could be good for the Falcons too. Like, you know, it's hard to say. What do you want to do? Do you want to have a strong defense or do you want to develop quarterbacks? It's kind of the question, right?
Yeah, and Atlanta doesn't know if their guy is their guy. I think that's the problem. But if Stefanski doesn't work with Penix, I think you just got to cut bait on both of them. And Atlanta can afford to pay Stefanski if they got to fire him early, right? Or something like that. So I think that makes a lot of sense for them. I think Baltimore has to go defensive identity. I think Giants going defensive identity makes a lot of sense. Oakland going a young guy that gets a long runway. Same thing with Tennessee. Makes a lot of sense. Develop their young quarterbacks. I think Arizona getting a guy with some experience that has a little bit of NFL pedigree is a good idea. And then I think if Cleveland hires a warm body, that's pretty much all they can.
He's just
anyone that shows up. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Spagano, you know, maybe, you know what? Let's throw him in there. Big Mikey to Cleveland. Why not?
There we go.
Why not?
This list is now locked in. This is correct.
They'll have a sleepover. They'll eat some hot dogs. So, all right, guys. Well, that was our coaching tier list of where we think guys could go or should go. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, and the good news is the Bears are not hiring a coach this offseason, but it's going to happen sooner than you think.
Green Bay's going to get theirs first.
You wish.
First.
You wish.